The first-generation Subaru Crosstrek has a surprising amount of off-road capability thanks to its nearly 9 inches of ground clearance, standard all-wheel drive, and some helpful underbody protection. Because of its Subaru Impreza foundation, it is highly maneuverable and simple to drive. However, its performance is subpar, especially when the all-wheel drive system is driven by the CVT, and there are serious doubts about the CVT's dependability. I will go over all the common issues with the Subaru Crosstrek from the first generation in this brief video. It's Max the Car Guy. Subscribe and let's get started. Ignition switch and park position lockout. According to information gathered by the NHTSA, this is by far the most frequently reported problem with the Subaru Crosstrek. Due to a malfunctioning switch in the gear selector mechanism, the ignition key in a car with this condition would remain stuck in its switch unit when shifting into park after turning the car off. Repeatedly switching from drive or reverse to park until the park position switch is engaged is a temporary fix. This will then allow the key to be taken out. But no matter what you do, the issue will only get worse and the key will eventually remain stuck. This issue, which also affects other Subaru models from the same era, has not yet been the subject of a recall and is frequently mistaken for a steering column issue. If this is the case, replacing the steering column will set you back upwards of $480, but it won't solve the issue. Excessive oil consumption. The FB20B and X engines used in the first-generation Subaru Crosstrek are much less prone to this problem than the larger-bore FB25 engine, despite reports of high oil consumption still plaguing many of Subaru's engines. However, this does not imply that the FB20 is totally impervious to this problem, as some examples may develop this symptom over time. The usage pattern of the vehicle appears to be important here. Contrary to expectation, well-maintained, hard-driven vehicles appear to burn less oil than those that are frequently started from cold and only do short distances of driving. This is most likely caused by cold start fuel wash, which accelerates cylinder bore wear, and by gas seeping past the piston rings, which dilutes engine oil. However, if the oil level is regularly checked and kept topped off, the engine will continue to function as intended for many years, preventing a catastrophic failure. Additionally, oil consumption can be decreased by running the engine continuously until it reaches operating temperature, and by avoiding high loads until the engine has fully warmed up. Unintended acceleration. Some Subaru models from the time period of the first-generation Crosstrek may be susceptible to sudden unintended acceleration, according to a class action lawsuit filed in 2020 in the District of New Jersey. There isn't enough information about this case to make a final determination just yet. Although the 2016 and 2017 Crosstrek isn't mentioned by name in this class action lawsuit, it would be prudent to make sure that a Crosstrek reacts to pedal inputs as it should. Batteries draining. Premature battery failure is still a problem for Subaru, with all Crosstrek battery issues from 2013 to 2017 as well as issues with Foresters and Outbacks. Just the Subaru brand seems to be involved. However, the fact that the Crosstrek is not included in the ongoing class action lawsuit involving its larger siblings suggests that the problem is much less serious in the small SUV. CVT problems. Over the years, the Subaru Lineartronic CVT has undergone numerous revisions and has been largely issue-free since around 2015. This implies that Crosstrek CVT issues for the model years 2015, 2016, and 2017 should be relatively infrequent. In this regard, the Crosstrek engine's low torque output probably also plays a role. It is still a CVT, though, and this particular type of transmission is unfortunately known to degrade prematurely. As a result, earlier 2013 to 2014 Subaru XV Crosstrek CVT issues are much more prevalent. Severe hesitation on pull-away, trembling ratio changes, grinding or knocking noises while operating, and stalling when coming to a stop are all signs of CVT malfunction. The P700 transmission error code on any first-gen Subaru Crosstrek indicates that there is a problem with the electronic control unit of the transmission. Because CVT repairs are frequently exorbitantly expensive, make sure that any Crosstrek you test drive exhibits none of these symptoms. Basic CVT repairs start at around $1,000 and can cost up to $8,000 if a complete replacement is required. Oil leaks. As a Subaru Crosstrek's engine ages, oil leaks are essentially a given. This is because the FB engine's engine construction contains a large number of potential failure points. This problem is made worse by the lack of conventional gaskets in the FB engine's design. Major oil leaks not only leave oil stains on your driveway but also pose a fire risk if hot engine oil gets on hot exhaust headers. The bad news is that some oil leak repairs require stripping down at least a portion of the engine before accessing the leaking areas. While valve cover and timing cover leaks typically appear around 100,000 miles, cam carrier oil seals can begin to leak as early as 40,000 miles. Wheel bearing failure. There have been complaints of wheel bearing issues with the first-generation Subaru Crosstrek, which can occasionally show up before the 30,000-mile mark. Although it doesn't seem to be very common, if this issue arises, it could cost you a fortune. Wheel bearings for the Crosstrek were not recalled. It is best to ensure that any Crosstrek you test drive runs smoothly while driving because wheel bearing failure, if ignored, could also cause a loss of vehicle control. Weak windscreens and subroofs. Although the 2013 to 2017 Subaru Crosstrek's windscreens don't experience the same high rates of failure as the Outback, some owners have reported experiencing cracked windshields without any apparent cause. There have also been reports of glass sunroofs shattering and cracking, usually in response to a significant change in the surrounding temperature. Which one to buy? The best options in the lineup are a 2.0i Limited or a 2.0i Premium manual, depending on whether you prefer a CVT or a 5-speed manual transmission. Any model year starting in 2015 should be a good investment, but 2016 and 2017 seem to be the least problematic of all of them. Verdict: the 2013 to 2017 Subaru Crosstrek range is a good value and a capable all-arounder because it strikes the right balance between a manageable size, acceptable practicality, decent fuel efficiency, and a surprising amount of off-road ability. It has a very good reputation for reliability and is not as technologically complex as some competitors, which may be good for long-term durability. Without the extra complexity of later models and without the majority of the silly design flaws that could affect its larger and newer stablemates, this is possibly the closest you'll get to old-school Subaru dependability in a newish car. Hope the information was useful for you. If so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel.